Can I put this away here?
Oh, yeah, just click this one right here.
Okay. All right.
Individual.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. I'm going to be talking about our Staging 101 class. So this is a great class for brand new agents as well as experienced agents. I think there's something for everybody here. Okay. So as we get started, we go to our next slide. Okay. Just wondering how many folks here are familiar with 365 staging. Do most of you know who we are or met us before? Okay, so good. So just a little recap for the folks that don't know us. We're your complete home selling solution. So in addition to home staging, we help with a lot of other things because the idea is to make your life as the agent a lot easier and smoother so you can focus time on things that make you money. In addition to the home staging, we can help you with house cleaning, handyman services. We can even do kitchen and baths and usually do that in 7 to 10 business days. We offer interior design with a lot of beautiful custom furnishings for your home. And we have a flooring store for realtors. With your affordable staging packages, we offer photography and home tour video and free social media marketing. So those are free services that we offer. Flyers, if you don't have time to do a flyer, we can do that for you. And we've got some new services, Airbnb management. So if you or your client has an Airbnb, you just absolutely do not have time to manage it or even to furnish it, we can do all of that for you. And we're going to introduce Square Escrow Inc. Probably in the next month or two, which is really exciting. We're going to have some great rates and we're going to kick it off with a grand opening party. So try to keep in touch with me so you can get an invitation. And we also have some beautiful home furnishings on sale on our website. Okay, so those are a little bit about us. Okay, so, in a hot market or even a slower market, home staging is absolutely critical. And look who agrees with us. It's Barbara Corcoran. So her quote, "Home staging is no longer optional in the real estate market. It is a must." Okay, so, many of your clients might say, oh, my house is going to sell no matter what. Yes, it will, but will it sell for the highest price or quickly? So some of the things that you might want to share about the value of home staging is that a lot of people now, probably 84+% will look online first to see if this home on sale is something they're interested in seeing. So it's got to catch their eye right away. So I think that's super important, especially here in the Silicon Valley. We have a lot of techies. And being an interior designer working with techie clients for almost 20 years now, I can tell you that a lot of them have no idea where to place furniture. They're not sure how to use the room, especially if it's an open floor concept. So they get really confused about it. And you wouldn't believe the number of people where I've gone to their homes, they've lived in it for several years and the rooms are empty because they have no idea what to do and they just kind of freeze. So it's kind of up to us to show the value of the home, how it could be used, and get them emotionally wrapped up in making that purchase. Okay, another very important point. We do offer the professional photography. You wouldn't believe how many people don't use professional photographers still. So that's just unbelievable to me, but I'll show you some examples. And we have a lot of overseas or out of town buyers. So that their first impression is going to be going online and seeing if that house is of interest to them. So it better be staged. Okay, and as probably all of you know, I think at least 90% of the houses in the Silicon Valley are staged. So it's kind of an expected thing. It's part of the culture out here, whereas it's not as popular in other parts of the country. But here, I think it's critical to be as competitive as possible. And with a shifting market, we think that staging is more important now than ever. Okay, so I'm going to show you how some beautiful, before and after makeovers, show you the value of, having a move-in ready home. I'm going to show you some great tips that you can incorporate that don't cost a lot of money or time, and talk about some of the interesting things I call the $10,000 effect. Many of you will work with first-time buyers, and if they go into a house that hasn't been staged, hasn't been updated for a while, they're usually going to think that it's going to cost way more than it'll actually cost you and the homeowner to fix. So a lot of times they're going to take big chunks off your price and give you a lowball offer. So I call it $10,000 chunks at a time. So you don't want that to happen, especially if you can spend a few $1,000s and fix it up and get that whole objection out of the way. And I'm going to show you some examples of unstaged vacant homes, and you'll see some unstaged owner occupied homes, which is tends to be like the toughest ones. Okay. All right. So this one's, I borrowed this from the Keller Williams staging course, but I think this is really great. So if you take that course, this page is in there. How do you convince your sellers to stage, right? Well, number one, I think it's really important to be as diplomatic as possible. This tends to be like a very emotional time for your seller. So sometimes it's very hard for them to put themselves in the buyer's shoes and see the house with fresh eyes, because maybe they've been living there for 20, 40 years and they're like, they're used to it. They don't see the imperfections anymore. So that's part of the issue with the resistance of staging a home. So I would definitely take them out to see some staged homes, talk to them about the return on investment, which we'll show you soon, and also give them some easy cosmetic fixes, which most people will not object to and will make a world of difference. Okay. I think it's also important for you to have a portfolio available, maybe a PowerPoint presentation, or you can go on house.com and create a nice little page on there. House is really fun. You can do, like a little portfolio showing the house before you stage it and some after photos, and also show some pictures of different styles of houses that the clients might be interested in. So that's a really fun website. And let's go from there. Okay. So I'm going to show you some things to do to get the house prepared for sale. Make sure you have like a calendar, show what you're doing for each stage so that everything gets done on your list. And I love this tip from Keller Williams. It's making your seller accountable. And you can say, hey, listen, there's this listing is going to go on the market when you determine, the agent determines that the house is ready so that you can get top dollar. So I thought that was a nice tip. Okay, so here's like a fun comparison, right? You got this crisp dollar bill, and then you got the crumpled one. All right, so if you have two houses on the market, one stage, everything's beautifully presented. The other one's of similar value, but it's not presented very well. It's a little messy. They didn't fix the cosmetic stuff that easily could have been done. They didn't stage it. Which one would you rather have, right? So that's just human nature. Okay. Let's see. All right, go to the next page. All right, I think these are some really interesting infographics here. And you could share this with your client. This is pretty much the same year on year. So I love this one. 40% of buyers are more willing to walk through a staged home that they saw online. Okay, so you want to get them in the door. And another important one, almost a third of buyers are more willing to overlook property faults when the house is staged. So a great example of this was we staged a house a few years back where there was some really hideous wallpaper, and the homeowner was not willing to remove the wallpaper. And so we decided to, give them something else to look at, with some beautiful pillows, art, etc. And she said she was getting feedback from the people walking through during the open house. Some of them didn't even notice there was wallpaper. So that I thought was really great. Staging did its job in that case. Okay. And I think this is really important with all the techies in the market here. Over 77% of the buyers find it easier to visualize the property as their future home when it's staged. So the whole idea is to have that emotional attachment to the house, because, and I'll show you like some unstaged home or a before where you can see clearly that there's no emotional attachment to it. Like it's just a bare room. Okay. Now these are some things that you could probably share with the buyers, especially, or sellers, especially when they think that they can stage it themselves. Okay. Well, we all know that there's a lot of follies with that. And also just the FYI, if you feel uncomfortable talking about this with your clients, stagers like myself are happy to come with you to that meeting. We can strategize ahead of time, talk about, where their head is, because a lot of times they're very emotional and they're emotionally attached to their stuff. A lot of times when you have somebody like myself, who's a neutral third party, can come in there and kind of set them straight. And we're both saying the same thing, but they kind of take it a little better when it comes from somebody like an interior designer. Okay. So what's great is, I think one really critical one is they don't always understand that their personal taste may not apply to the vast majority. So I consider staging to be designed for the masses. We're trying to find a neutral style that appeals to all demographics, right? So it's not for their personal taste. Okay, so I think that's really an important point. Also, that they're not always objective, looking at it from the buyer's perspective. So I think taking them to see a staged home is really critical. And we actually have a very specific design strategy to get people through the house and think that it looks really big and harmonious and all the colors match. Styles match, everything flows beautifully. So a lot of times working with interior design clients through the years, I see a lot of hodgepodge homes because they buy something at 1 year, a couple of years later, they got some money. So, let's go shopping again. And then they buy something on sale or something trendy at the moment. And then 10 years later, nothing goes together. So that's what happens a lot of times. Okay. And I think critically, we could stage the house mostly in a day, whereas they'll probably take weeks and a lot of, stress to put together the same look that we can do in a few hours. Okay, and spend a lot of money. Okay. So this is from the Real Estate Staging Association. I think this is really interesting here. So across the board, this is across the country, and a survey that they do every year. They find that if you stage the home first, it's going to spend 90% less time on the market than an unstaged home. And then we've all worked with the clients that have refused to stage the home, and then it goes on the market for a while. They're not getting any offers. They're like, oh, this offer sucks. They're not happy with the offers coming in. And then they decide to stage. Well, you've wasted a lot of time at that point. We actually had a client that during the really hot period of time, they had a house with a highway right behind it. So there's some issues there, obviously, but it was a nice house. It had a big yard, but with nothing in the house to look at, it was completely vacant. All people could focus on was, oh, the highway's right behind me. So it sat on the market during the hottest time in real estate for 40 days. And so the realtor said, okay, we tried it your way. Let's do it my way now. So we staged it, and it went pending the same day that we staged it. It sold the same day. So, these things really work, right? Okay, so I'm sure many of you have a story like that. Okay, and then I think this would be an interesting one to show them. Let's just use an example. You know, how much money does it cost them to keep the house on the market, right? Versus taking, you know, a few $1,000s and staging it first, right? So let's say, and this is just a example, like say your mortgage is $2,400, it takes $1,000 in expenses every month. So you're carrying that cost $3,400 a month, right? And say it takes you 4 months to sell it. Then look, you're at $13,600 without selling it, you know, without being able to sell it. Whereas maybe it would have cost you $2,000, $2,599, $3,000 to sell that house within a month, right? So kind of have the big picture perspective that you guys have that experience. Okay, so a picture's worth 1,000 words. Okay, look at these. You see some pictures on the top here. Obviously not professionally done, and I still am astounded when I see pictures on Redfin or Zillow where the real estate agent decided not to spring for a professional photographer. To me, it's just kind of inexcusable, right? And then look at the pictures on the bottom. Like, what a difference it makes just to have proper lighting, right? And a professional photographer. Okay, let's look at some before and after photos. Okay, so if you work with a lot of first-time buyers, right? They've lived in an apartment for years, right? So what do you get when you have an apartment? It's a white box. That's what I call it. It's just like a plain white box, devoid of any personality. Usually there's no architectural features or anything. Now this one's kind of a nicer room, but it's just an example. Look at that, right? So it's not that exciting. And there's all these surveys like for staging. They said that like they're going to spend like less than 6 minutes, maybe in 15 minutes at the most, walking through an empty house. Right? It's not very inspiring. So it's okay, walk through. Okay, yeah, I see this room. Okay, I'm leaving. Okay, so what is the goal here? To get them emotionally wrapped up in the house so that they can picture themselves living there. Okay, look at this. Look at this after. There you go. All right, that is the same room. Okay, a little different angle, but they say that the buyers linger in a staged home average of 40 minutes. So have you guys all experienced that where you take somebody a stage home, they're like, wow, this looks great. And they're not even buying the furniture or anything, right? But they sit down, they get relaxed, they want to linger and just picture their lives in this new home, right? I mean, what a difference. Go from this to this. Okay. All right. And here's we won an award for this one. Okay. So this was a $5 million house in Los Gatos. But what does it look like to you, right? It kind of looks like another white box, right? So that's not very inspiring. Okay. Now look what happens when you stage it. It's like all of a sudden it's just a totally different feeling, right? We didn't change anything about it, just put in some furniture and accessories, and all of a sudden it's different. Okay, so this house, mom and dad lived here probably 40 years. And when I went in there, they said, hey, is it possible we can use some of this furniture and use it for the staging? And so this is like where they don't really have the perspective that that this furniture is really outdated. They're comfortable with it. They want to make it easy for themselves. Hey, can we keep this carpet? Can we keep the mirrors in the back and the window treatments? They didn't see that this probably would not appeal to the mass market, right? Okay, so we were able to convince them to change everything. So we did a full cosmetic change of this house. I show you the difference here. Okay, that's the same room. All right, look what a difference that makes. We put in the SPC flooring, which is a fabulous flooring, a light colored paint color here. It has just a little hint of color, and fresh furniture, fresh colors. Okay, Big difference, right? Same room. Okay. And then this is the opposite dining room, where once again, they wanted to use all of their furniture. They want to keep the mirrors in the back and the window treatments. And, you know, custom window treatments like that do cost a fortune, but, you know, they do go out of date. Okay, look at the difference there, right? Just feels so much bigger, light, bright, and airy, which are your keywords for staging. Okay, and then here's another one in the Cupertino area where they once again asked us if it's possible to use their furniture for the staging. And in this case, the furniture was actually in very, very good condition, but I knew right away, there's no way we should ever use this furniture for staging. And we convinced them, and look at the after, right? Big, big difference. Okay, I love this picture because grandma wanted to be in the picture. Most of the time they leave as soon as you whip out the camera, but she's in the picture and she does not come with the home. Okay. And so this was a nicer, newer home. And they said, oh, you know, we love these window treatments, these curtains, can we keep them? I said, oh, it just makes the room look so dark. Let's remove that. And look at the difference. Okay, so when they came and saw their house, they couldn't believe it. They were like almost crying. So that's a great feeling. They couldn't believe this was their house. And look how much light there is now, right? Okay, let's talk about working with contractors. Okay, so I want to give you guys some tips because I've seen a lot of realtors do some things that probably waste a lot of your time, your energy, and get the house on the market much later than you want it to go. Because I mean, most of the time, right? Time is of the essence. You want to get that house on the market ASAP. You want to do it nicely. Okay. So what I would suggest is if you can get a contractor that can do multiple parts of the project, that would save you so much time. So what I have seen in the past is you know, like the realtors will ask contractors to say, hey, can you give me a price for this? And then they see can you break up the project into little pieces and, you know, this part, like here's the flooring part, here's the paint. And then they look at it and they say, oh, can you just do this part? And then I find somebody else that I could save a little money on, they can do that part. And then pretty soon it's out of control. There's like 4 or 5 contractors all working on the house. And guess what? A lot of them don't want to work together at the same time. Then you're going to try to manage multiple contractors and it becomes a disaster. And see, sometimes you need somebody that coordinate the different things because some things have to be done first and then other parts come later. So if you're able to get somebody that can do multiple projects for you, then you can let them coordinate when the contractors can come in at the right time and get the right materials in. It would save you guys a world of trouble, okay? And also not delay the project. So I also found that a lot of times contractors, if they don't work with a lot of real estate agents, a lot of them don't really care that much about your time frame. You know, like you want to put it on the market on this date, but they just get the job and then they're, you know, want to find other jobs. So then all of a sudden your job gets delayed. Okay. So that is something to be very cognizant of. If somebody does not work regularly with real estate agents, they don't always understand why it's so important to get things done on time. And so we recognize that. So for our team, we actually will guarantee the date that the project will be done. We'll guarantee it. And so if it does get delayed for some reason, we would give you extra free time on your staging contract. So we kind of give back a little bit there. But we're very good at figuring out the timeframes because we know our workers and can get it done quickly. Okay. Now, this tends to happen a lot where, you know, you're on a really strict time schedule And all of a sudden, like as the project begins, you start adding things, like adding. And then you have to understand like that would also push back your project. So try to figure out everything you need to do right at the beginning, and then let your contractor know, and try not to change anything. Okay. And then also try to avoid deleting items that were already agreed to, because sometimes your contractors has made purchases for you and then they can't return the product. They can't get their money back, so they're probably still going to charge you. Okay. So just be very careful about that. And now I've been in this kind of business for about 20 years now, and I hear this a lot from different contractors. If you have ever experienced like exorbitantly high prices, and it's like, wow, that's crazy. You know, last time, you know, you did it for this price, now you're doing a really high price, or, you know, that just seems way more than most contractors price. Here's the sad part. It might be because they perceive you as hard to work with, difficult to work with. So they call it the PITA charge, which is the pain in the ass charge. So you want to avoid being one of those people, okay? But of course, you know, you're in charge of the project, but just be careful not to micromanage the project, because hopefully the people you're working with are professionals. They know what they're doing, and just have a good communication, but try not to micromanage, okay? Because then you might start getting the PITA charge, okay? So yes, I've heard about that over many years. Okay. And if you do have to have any kind of change, please put it in writing. That's going to make it easier for everybody later on. If there's any kind of disputes or questions, make sure everything you do is in writing. Okay. And both parties are agreeing to it. And also be cognizant that sometimes once a project goes underway, like so you're tearing up the floors or whatever, and they discover that there's some hidden issue like mold or you know, rot or something. So sometimes those things can cause your project to be delayed and cost more than you expect. So just keep in mind that sometimes this may happen. Okay. All right. So let's talk about some first impressions. Oh, I hear this one all the time. What color should I paint the front door? Okay, so this is according to the Real Estate Staging Association. They rank the top color doors to have for your front door. And number one is red. Okay, everybody loves a red door. So I just be careful not to do like a really, really bright red, like a lipstick red. That doesn't always work. Maybe a little more muted red. So you can see some of the trends that are pertaining to colors, and kind of go with something like that, which right now is not super bright colors, more of a muted tone. Okay. And I love the black door. The black door always looks very sophisticated. Nice glossy black paint, really beautiful. And my favorite color, blue. And then comes stained and yellow and gray. And I love this one. Just say no to purple. This is like one of the least popular colors that you can do for your house. So you might want to stay away from the purple. Okay. All right. Here's an outdoor checklist. I think mulch is, like, for me, like one of the top things you can spend your money on for your garden beds. Cost very little money. Okay, so here's a list that you can use. Okay, so like what color should you use? What color finishes do you have in the house? Okay, so if I'm looking at the exterior of your house and also the interior, there's usually color schemes that will go throughout the house. Okay, so one thing I look for is, what's the roof color? Oh, look, we got the terracotta, right? We got brick on the house. We might have some warm color woods, like in the front door. Maybe a tile entryway that's got some of the terracotta. And then I look inside and see a lot of this, you know, golden color, orangey color, brown color, granite or stone. The red mulch is really great with these kind of finishes. You see how harmonious that color scheme looks, right? Okay, and then here's an example. This house, this is the biggest house we ever staged. It was over 8,000 square feet with 3 pool tables and and 2 bars in their recreation area. So this one was kind of fun. But nobody lived in this house for several years. And so the lawn and stuff was not taken care of that well. So we said, okay, what can we do? Let's just put the red mulch in here. Look at that. It just freshens everything up, right? And look at this house in Fremont. This is another house that was not lived in for a few years. So all the plants and shrubs were kind of dead and dying. They weren't watered very much. So a lot of stuff had to be pulled out. So what do you fill it in with? Look at the red mulch, right? It just makes everything pop, right? So that worked out really, really well. Okay, and here's a closer look of the surviving plants and trees, right? Not very many left, but it still looks finished. And then you can put it on your listing, fresh landscaping, right? It was newly landscaped. Okay, and this is an example of a beautiful contemporary home where we have the black mulch here. That looks really pretty. And so, you know, when do you use the black or the brown mulch? So I'm looking at the cool colors, right? These are a little cooler tones. Now the brown, I would say, is a neutral, so you can go with this in a warmer tone as well. But I'm looking for things like the blacks or charcoal color, rooftops, the marble with the gray, which is very popular right now. Maybe slate floors, dark woods, brown woods, things like that. Now look how beautiful this looks. I think that's so harmonious, right? Can you kind of picture like the red mulch on this? I think it would look finished, but something doesn't feel quite right with that, right? So I think this is a much better idea here with the black door, the black shutters, and look at this, and then the cool colored plants, succulents. It's so pretty. Okay. All right, so let's talk about some really simple improvements that you can make. All right. So I think your best return on investment is paint, right? Paint the interior so it looks fresh, it looks brand new, and it just makes everything else elevated. So these are some neutral colors that we've been using a lot that pretty much go with everything. So if you like a lighter color, I would go with the Kelly Moore Yang Mist. It reads mostly as white. When you look at it, it's mostly white. It just has a little hint of color in there. And then I like to have the Swiss coffee for your trims, hallways, and ceilings. So cabinets as well. So this is actually the perfect white color. And I've tried to see if there's any others, and I always go back to the Swiss coffee. And the Kelly Moore Featherstone, if you like more of a medium tone, you got bigger walls. This color does look a lot lighter once you put it across vast amounts of space. Okay, so this is a beautiful color. It's taupe, which is a gray beige, so it goes with everything. Okay, and then Benjamin Moore actually has a series of neutral colors that they suggest for staging as well. Okay. All right, so what kind of floor should we do? Well, we found we have TNT Flooring, which is our flooring store for realtors, and we give you guys a 25 cents off per square foot discount. So pretty much the floor that we've been selling the absolute most, I mean, not even wood floors, hardly any carpet anymore. Everybody's going for SPC flooring, even in nicer homes. So they're very well priced. Typically, we try to use a little better brands, $269 square foot plus, so it goes up from there. And it's you get the 25 cents off per square foot. So here's some really great benefits. So most of you have probably worked with laminate floors in the past. And one of the things about laminate floors, like you walk on it with heels on, or just even some like hard bottom shoes, and you hear this clicking sound, right? Click, click, click. It's kind of loud. And then also it sounds fake, right? Like it's kind of this fake wood sound, right? Everybody knows that sound. So I love this SPC flooring because compared to laminate, it's very quiet. So there's actually several layers in the construction where they have a layer that absorbs the sound. So it's really nice. And for me, I have a hard time sometimes telling if it's a real wood floor versus an SPC floor. They're so realistic now. You can even really feel the textures where they try to copy the grains of the wood. So they're pretty incredible now. They also are perfect if you are you want low maintenance. Okay, so number one, a huge thing, they're waterproof. So yes, you can get that wood look in your kitchen and your bathroom without worrying about it. How many of you have had leaks in the kitchen or the bathroom and the floor is just ruined? Well, with this, you don't have to have that worry. And most of these are possible for commercial situations. So a lot of these are commercial grade products where you could put them in a hotel, restaurant, airport. They're very, very durable, stain and scratch resistant, and very fast and easy to install. A lot of times you can actually put it on top of an existing floor. So that'll save you some time. Okay, and take a look at this. So one of the trendy looks right now is more natural colors. So for the last few years, we've had a lot of gray colors, but so you still see a little bit hints of gray, but you're also seeing more of those natural wood tones coming through. Like in this case, there's a little bit of yellow, there's a little bit of red, and a little bit of gray, and it looks fabulous. It goes with any color scheme that your buyer would have. And look how beautiful it is. Okay, now let's talk about lighting. Okay, so people always ask me, oh my gosh, what chandelier should I buy? Oh, what pendant light should I buy? They're not sure. So if you have to make these decisions, the easiest thing to attract most people without going too far in one direction is when you do a search online, like Home Depot, on Lamps Plus, look for transitional style light fixtures. So that's the key word, transitional. So transitional is what I call a classic style, has clean lines. It kind of has a nod towards contemporary and traditional. So that's why, to me, transitional style is like the perfect style to attract most people. Okay. And as far as like being an interior designer for many years, this was the #1 design style that we did for interior design. So people just aren't all that contemporary out here, especially not all that traditional. Okay, so take a look at these, right? These beautiful light fixtures, they have very clean lines, but you can see there's a classic look to them, but also a little contemporary touch. Okay, so you can't go wrong with that. Okay, and we have this beautiful transitional look over here. Now, one thing that I think would be, well, first of all, save you a lot of time and energy and searching. Just do everything in one color, all your metallic finishes in one color, all the way throughout the house. Okay, so that means starting with the house numbers at the front door, your sconce, your doorknob, the light fixtures, the faucets, even the hinges on your doors. Just do one color. That'll make your life so much easier. Okay, and it'll be a very harmonious look. And you see gold has been making a comeback, but not the brassy color that you're thinking. From all the tract homes in the 1980s and 90s and early 2000s, you saw a lot of the shiny brass color. So that's not what's in right now. It's more of the brushed metallic finishes. And that's across the board, whether you do silver, gold, brass, the oil rub bronze, use sort of not a shiny finish. Okay. All right. So here's another very simple thing to do that it does take a little work, but makes a world of difference, is painting old wood cabinets. So take a look at that one on the left side. Okay, yeah, very old fashioned, right? Kind of looks 80s, 90s. And then what a difference just by painting the cabinets. It looks like you remodeled the whole kitchen, right? What a difference. Okay, now just keep in mind that this is not always the best solution. If your cabinets are super dirty, really greasy, no matter how much sanding that you do, the oil can sometimes work its way back up. Even if you put in the like Kills or some kind of primer, we have seen this happen where the oil just keeps coming back up. So if it's in really bad condition, it probably is time just to replace the cabinets, okay? So if they're pretty clean, you think you can clean it out, I think it's worth a try, okay? All right, another thing. Say you really don't have a lot of money to replace vanities, cabinets, kitchen cabinets, but you want to make it look a little more interesting. Definitely add some knobs or drawer pulls. I mean, these things are like $3, $4 a piece, totally worth it, okay? And then sometimes just like, even if you have a plain white cabinet at your house, but it was done 40 years ago, the style of the pulls and knobs have changed also. So you just replace that thing, all of a sudden it looks brand new. Okay, and here's a handy little chart showing where to place the knobs and pulls, or if you're doing a combination of knobs and pulls. Okay, here's some do's and don'ts. Okay, all right, so okay, this one's very interesting. So sometimes I see the real estate agent or the homeowner, they're doing a remodel and they have way too much fun selecting materials, and they sometimes like get something that for their personal taste that may not work for most people, okay? So right now, one of the big trends with tiles is really bold and geometric shapes and styles, okay? So they do look amazing, okay? But what if it's just too far over, okay? So, okay, this is an example. This house we staged a few years back during a really peak market time. And so the homeowner put in these kind of wacky tiles. All right, so can you imagine, like, say your 80-year-old grandma liking this? Probably not. And I would say most people of any age probably won't find this very appealing in the Silicon Valley, okay? And unfortunately, it was commented many times during the open house and people did not like these tiles. And so this was sad because she spent tons of money on it. She has this beautiful new kitchen, but the first thing the buyers are thinking, oh my God, if I buy this house, I have to do a remodel because I can't live with this. Okay, that's really bad, right? Then they're gonna take a big chunk off your price, right? So it sat on the market a while. And one of the big things was this kitchen. And then I think another thing was this house was kind of a larger home. Doing open shelves is a trendy thing right now. But if you have like a large kitchen for a home, and then you do too much of this, people will start thinking you got really cheap on them, and they think, okay, I've got maybe 4 or 5 people living in this home, and I need storage space. So when you have just floating shelves, they think, oh wow, I could have used an extra cabinet here, right? So I don't think you should do this. Okay. So what we did, we tried our best to distract, and we used some colors here. Eventually the house did sell. But yeah, this was like an issue for a lot of people. So just be very careful choosing your tiles. Okay, now here's another example. We staged this house, and this is a very trendy look with these shapes. But if I had to, tell the client which one you should choose instead of this, if you like this look, why not go for something a little more neutral like this? Most people can live with this versus this, right? Okay, because only a specific set of people are gonna like this. All right. And then the same house as the weird tiles. I said, don't do these weird niches. Okay, nobody knows what to do with these things. Now we usually have a piece of art or some kind of accessory to put in here, but most people don't like these weird creative solutions. So I think just forget it. Don't even bother, right? Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. So people ask me all the time, hey, when I paint the house, should I do an accent wall? Okay, highly not recommended. Okay, so don't use it for staging. Okay, I think it's much easier for you and also cheaper to just do one color all the way through, because you want to keep it neutral, and also one color makes the house feel like even bigger than it is. Interior designers, on the other hand, when you work with the buyer, that's the perfect time to do an accent wall, because then we're trying to highlight a specific feature and then also tie it into all the furniture and accessories. So it's very strategic how we do it as an interior designer. So I would definitely not recommend doing accent wall. So I'm going to show you this example. On the left side is a professionally done accent wall. You notice how they took all the colors and everything's harmonious. Everything ties in to the two colors in this room, right? So this is done well. But most of the time when I see people doing accent walls for a house on sale, this is what you get here. And you notice that nothing matches, right? So this is, like, to me, highly not recommended. Just do one color, okay? Okay, and then this was the house that we recently staged, where we got completely surprised by the realtor, because when I went to see the house, it was still under construction, and we worked with this realtor before where we always had neutral walls, so I was not expecting the red wall when we came in to stage it. So then we had to kind of quickly go back to the warehouse and get stuff to match it. So please don't spring something like this on your stager, because they'll be very surprised. But luckily we made it work. You notice we tied in all the colors together and it did sell pretty quickly. But you know, if you think about a lot of buyers out there, how many people are going to like something like this, right? And the first thing many of them are going to think, oh my God, I have to paint the wall as soon as I move in, right? So you don't want to ever let them think that, oh man, I have to spend money on, you know, in addition to the expensive house, right? Okay, make it move-in ready. Now, I would also avoid wallpaper. Okay, so this one's a weird one. I think they ran out of wallpaper because, look, it doesn't go all the way over to the side. So it's just kind of a bizarre thing. It just didn't work at all. So just avoid it. And it's expensive. So I think it's not worth it to do something like that. Okay, there's my paint colors again. Okay, so now there are specific architectural styles out here that are highly desirable. So you want to make sure, like if you're doing an Eichler home, for instance, they're very famous for being mid-century modern homes, and they're like 2 million plus, right? So make sure that what you do and put into the home matches what it's known for. Okay, so I've seen a lot of people really mess up Eichler homes. Okay, so this is a typical Eichler home here. Okay, so check this out. I think the homeowner should have just taken this whole thing down. This is like a custom bookshelf, but notice this looks like kind of country, right? Kind of country style. It's just completely inappropriate for an Eichler home. So I would totally take that down. It'll be worth it. So luckily on the other side of the room, we decided to do our kind of mid-century modern inspired, a little more contemporary style to go with the house. So I think it distracted from that weird bookshelf on that other side. Okay. And also, you know, try to keep that whole style consistent from the front door on. Okay. You know, what color, right? 1950s, 60s colors are really perfect, like this aqua color, the contemporary style garage door. So try not to do something that's far away from the style. So here's some typical finishes that look perfect in Eichler homes. You notice these really fun light fixtures. So they used to have very creative chandeliers and pendant lights. And then notice these tiles are very reminiscent of, you know, fabrics and designs from that time period. And if you have to redo the cabinets, these slab style cabinets where there's no moldings on it would work perfectly. So just be super careful what you put into an Eichler home. Okay, and I usually recommend try not to do accent walls because this black wall could be pretty tough for most buyers, but we were able to make it work over here. Okay, all right, now flooring. Always suggest, if you can, do one floor all the way through the home. Why? Because it creates a harmony throughout the rooms. It'll actually make the rooms look bigger because there's flowing, right? You wouldn't believe how many homes that we've seen with, 4 or 5 different floors, all chopped up all the way through, and it looks really bad. So if you have the budget to do it, definitely invest in the floor. Okay. Yeah. So, and then what's in style, right? These beautiful cherry wood floors are, kind of reminiscent of like 20 years ago. So yes, they are beautiful, but if you can, I would do, something a little more trendy now. And then some of the dark wood floors are not really in anymore as well. Okay. Now here, if you have to work with this floor and you have a upstairs rooms usually, or staircase, and you need to do carpet, just make sure you're in the same color family where you have a warm color floor and a warm color carpet. Okay. Oh yeah, and this one I want to mention. So what I've seen a lot of times, and I'm sure you've all seen it, where like you start with this floor, like maybe you have this in the living room, and then the family room needs to have a new floor, and the homeowner gets something completely different style and different color and puts it together. It's just such a bad look. Okay. And we recently had one where they want to change the floor downstairs, and they didn't want to invest in doing the stairway upstairs and the hallway, but we were able to convince them that yes, let's do it, because they had like a really old laminate on the stairs, and then they wanted SPC on the downstairs, and it just simply did not match. So try not to do contrasting floors like that. Okay. All right. So lighting. Lighting is always like really fun. I call it the jewelry of the room. Once again, go for the transitional style. Okay. And make sure your lighting style matches the architectural style of the home. I see this as a very common mistake. Okay, so say you have a ranch home like this, everything inside is kind of on the older side. Everything kind of matches it like 30, 40 years ago. But then I see people putting this stuff into this home. Okay, so clearly it's a complete mismatch because they didn't change anything else in the room. So here's what I get. Again, I recommend the transitional style lighting. Okay. And then I see really contemporary homes like this with a super traditional light fixture like this. Okay. So this is a total mismatch as well. I see this a lot. Okay. Maybe try one of these two styles instead. Right? You see how it goes with the architecture? Okay. All right. Now, okay, this is a really trendy look right now. They're beautiful, but I want to caution you, if you have an open house, if you have this kind of floor, make sure everybody takes off their shoes, because what happens is their toes touch this as they're going up the stairs, and there's marks all over the white part. And it is a nightmare to clean. Okay, so if you don't want to deal with this kind of thing and have to clean after every open house, you make them take off their shoes. Or if you know that very likely, like a lot of people are going to be using the stairs, I mean, busy family, they want low maintenance, then I would do this instead. Okay, because then nobody's going to see those marks. All right. All right, so I'm just going to talk about bringing it all together. Use a consistent color and style throughout the house. So this is that beautiful 6,000 square foot house that we staged And here's where we use that color and style to go throughout the house. You notice like all the colors go all the way through. You got the blues that match this and even all the way up the stairs. So every room kind of touched with the same color. And they did not spend any money on remodeling. So it was kind of up to the staging to pull everything back together and try to modernize the look. Okay. So we took this color scheme, put it all the way through the kitchen to the family room. They had this beautiful bar area here. Okay. So you see where we got kind of these blues all over the place. And they had this very outdated tile right here, but we were able to tie it all in and make it seem fresh again with the exterior staging. All right, and here's a fun one using some more of the trendy remodeling colors. Okay, so you see the beautiful gold fixtures here. They used it on the poles here. And then we brought in a little bit of gold with the accessories and the coffee table and even a beautiful gold border on this pillow. And some more gold accessories. And check out this fun, these little niches here with little bits of gold. I think that's so cute, right? Okay, and some more gold in here. All right. So yeah, now I didn't update this, but we are doing a special promotion for real estate right now. So we're doing get 1 month, get two free months. So it's 3 months for the price of one right now. And also we're doing a promotion first time clients of ours. You can do 20% down payment, balance due at close of escrow or end of 90 days, whichever comes sooner. And for our existing clients, you can put 50% down and balance due at end of 90 days or close of escrow. So yeah, let's see if there's any questions. I see some chat here. Anybody have any questions you'd like to ask me? Okay. And I would be happy to send you this presentation afterwards too. All right. You got a question here.
So Clara, share with me some stats on how staging accelerates sellability.
Mhm.
So for example, you mentioned that 90%, was a stat that
Yes.
you shared.
Mhm.
Do you have any more stats that will make staging be just to convince the seller
Yes.
more in terms of
Mhm.
sellability and kind of desirability for an incoming buyer to
Yes.
appreciate?
Absolutely. So the National Association of Realtors actually has a staging report every year, something about selling, staging. So some of you have to kind of take some of it with a grain of salt because it's for the entire country.
Right.
Okay, but the numbers are pretty same pretty much every year. So you'll see like it's more accelerated here, like you get more bang for the buck here because it's expected out here. But you can actually go online and find that report and you can share that with your clients. Also, like, I would put together part of your portfolio, right? Before and afters, and then you can use some of those examples I gave you. Let's see if I can go back to.
So you think it's on the NAR website?
Yes, the national, if you go online, because I've seen it there,
Okay.
several years in a row, National Association of Realtors, they have some kind of like a staging report. Yeah, so let me go back to the beginning here. Oh yeah. And these are pretty much the same every year, right? So you can borrow some of these right here. Some of these. And put that into your presentation, you just copy that over. And then you might even want to show them this page right here, because a lot of them, oh, let me do it myself.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can show them this one.
Right.
Yeah, this is pretty much the same thing every year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it'd be nice to put together some kind of portfolio. And I'm sure you guys have all experienced it where maybe they didn't want to stage it first. And then once it didn't sell, then you staged it and you can show them the results of that. I think most of you probably have experienced that before.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So I also have another
mhm.
add-on question. I'm seeing more and more of virtual staging
Oh, yes.
versus the real staging.
Mhm.
I personally like the real staging,
Yes,
but the virtual staging is on some pictures, it looks really fake.
yes, yes.
Um,
Mhm.
But it does give that
Mhm.
space a good look as compared to if it was empty.
Yes, yes. So if, what I've seen, is you have to be really careful. Maybe selecting somebody that actually knows what they're doing with that. Okay, so I have a really great example. I wish I copied this picture because I was going online. The realtor had called me and said, hey, and a lot of this happened during the pandemic, right? Where nobody was going out. Okay, so that, oh my God, I guess I better virtually stage it because they wouldn't allow stagers to work at that time. Okay, so this house was sitting on the market for a while. I was looking at the before pictures before I went to see the house. And so I saw, okay, they put the dining set right here. They got, I saw the furniture placement. So then I went out to see the house personally. And I always measure, I have my tape measure with me. And the way I looked at it is like, there is no way a dining set would fit where they put it. I measured it because I know how much room you need to pull back the chairs. And so I told the realtor it's not going to work like in that picture. It's impossible. So I'm going to put the dining table here and that'll work. And so to me, that's like very bad representation of the reality of that space. To me, that's really bad. And so that's something I think maybe somebody was not very good at it. They didn't really measure. Something really went wrong there. Now, remember we talked about the emotional attachment, right? You want them emotionally attached. So here's a funny story. So about a year or two ago, I was working with a real estate agent that worked with a lot of investors from Japan. So they're all coming to Silicon Valley to learn about the market out here. And they don't do a lot of staging in Japan. So they had me come in to talk about staging. And I knew one of the questions, because they were like, Silicon Valley, technological marvel. Oh, virtual staging must be the thing, right? So I showed them this example and I thought it was so funny. Okay. So showed them this room that was virtually staged. Okay. That looks really nice, right? Everybody agreed to look nice. But then the reality, when you go to the house, had the empty room and the real estate agent, I'll find this picture. They actually taped a picture like on a little piece of paper of the virtually staged room with blue tape, and they stuck it on the wall. And as soon as I switched to that slide, the entire room, probably like 30 people, burst into laughter. I mean, they thought it was the most hilarious thing. So, I mean, you like people to have that reaction at your listing, right? That'd be very embarrassing, right? Because they felt cheated, right? And that, like, what a joke. Right. So it feels like misrepresentation. We've also had the experience during the pandemic, at least 3 or 4 houses that were previously virtually staged and they wouldn't sell. And so once they called us and said, hey, can you stage it for us? They sold. So it's with the virtual stuff might be great to get them in the door to look at it, but then it doesn't have the power of having that emotional attachment once you get into the house, right? And also I found that, everybody's really technical here, but when it comes to furniture and placement and visually seeing how it could look and feel, it's like a whole different story. You lose the whole magic of it, which I think is not what you want, right? That's not, to me, it's not good marketing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I think there's a time and a place for it, but in a lot of situations, it may not do you good service.
Justice, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you for answering my
Yes,
questions.
absolutely. All right, see if anybody else has any questions? Okay, so yeah, I wish you guys were all here because I got all the food here. Okay, so if you guys would like a copy of this presentation, please send me an email and I'll reply back with the presentation. So my email is T as in Tom, HORA at 365staging.com. Okay, great. And let me know if you want to be on our mailing list too, because we have some fun things going on at our, we have a beautiful farmhouse on Clayton Road. So we do have presentations there once in a while, and we're going to be doing our grand opening for Square Escrow Inc. Probably in the next month or two. So it's pretty exciting. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for attending and look forward to seeing you all in person soon.
Thank you, Clara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a good refresher for some trendy colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my design trends class last month at the other location.
I think I saw that.
Oh, did you?
I was a part of that because I remember you showing some very nice pages with
Uh-huh.